Well, Merry Christmas. It's great to see you here this evening. This is the night when we get together to remember the story of the birth of Jesus, isn't it? It's a big story. It's had a big impact throughout the entire world. But the interesting thing is it bloomed forth just out of the regular routines of a young woman's life who lived in the Middle East 2,000 years ago. And so tonight I hope to create space for us to consider the regular routines of our own lives and how through them we may be connecting to a bigger story. We may be connecting to a bigger plan. I make this invitation with words of a friend ringing through my mind. He said to me the other day, "You know, Dwight, we are God's plan. If it's going to play out, it's going to play out through us. We're the plan. We are God's plan." It's always been that way, playing out through the regular routines of individuals just traipsing through the world, right? Bumping up against little revelations, a beam of light, a friend's insight, a new way of seeing an old thing. Make no mistake about it, not one of us is here by accident. Your life, whether exciting or ordinary, famous or flying under the radar, long-lived or a flash, is a critical part of this plan. There is nothing done that cannot be used or transformed, particularly when it is done in love. For it is love, only love, that's going to save the world. And it blossoms forth from the regular routines of our lives. So I was reminded of this the other day. I was on a Zoom call. Some of you been on Zoom before? I was on a Zoom call. And somebody on that call at the beginning said, "Happy Lady of Guadalupe Day." Now, I'm from Minnesota. So I had to look this up, which gave me something to do while on the Zoom call. And it turns out, in 1531, there was a farmer named Juan Diego. And he lived in that area which today we know as Mexico City. And his family had been there forever. They'd been there for generations, long before the Spaniards had ever arrived. But he was a new convert to Christianity. He was baptized recently into the faith. And one day, Juan Diego, in the regular routine of his life, was out and about, and something extraordinary happened. An apparition appeared to him, a woman dressed in blue, pregnant, with stars around her. And she spoke to him, not in Spanish, but in his native Aztec language. And she said, "Juan Diego, build my church. Build it right here, right now, build my church." Now, Juan Diego was a farmer, not a carpenter. This caught him off guard, but he also didn't have any resources. He had no status within the community. And so he did the only thing he knew he could do: pretend it didn't happen. But she showed up again. She said, "Juan Diego, build my church." So reluctantly, he went to see the archbishop. And he told him the story. And the archbishop believed him. No, I'm just kidding. Archbishop did not believe him. And the archbishop said, "Juan Diego, bring me a sign." So Juan Diego didn't know what to do. He left and he went home along that path that he always walks on, right? Day in and day out. But on this day, he noticed something different. Up upon the barren hills, roses were growing. Castilian roses, the kind of roses that not only didn't grow there, but didn't grow in the winter. He was amazed. He went up, he laid his poncho down on the ground, and he picked these roses, and he filled his poncho full of them, and he took these to the archbishop as a sign. And when he got down in front of the archbishop, his poncho fell open and the roses fell down on the ground and an aroma filled the room. But what captured the archbishop's eyes, his imagination, was there imprinted upon the poncho was the image of the Virgin Mary. And the archbishop remembered that Juan Diego had said she had spoken to him in his native language. And there he saw a perfect image of the Virgin Mary, but she had dark skin, brown eyes, and black hair. The mother of Jesus was a mother to all people. And this was the archbishop's revelation. That Mary met people in the regular routines of their lives as their mother, like them, who loved them with a love that could save the world. And so they built that church, built it right there as a place to come and consider week in and week out how they are part of God's plan together. And that was true 500 years ago in the land of the Aztecs, just as it is true right now in Seattle. Because the plan continues to play out through us. We are God's plan. You with me? All right. One way that happens here at Epiphany is through our outreach programs. And one of the outreach programs we're really involved with is Operation Night Watch, fabulous program that seeks to serve homeless people around the city of Seattle. And I was at an event for Operation Night Watch, and there I heard a woman tell this story. She said that one morning she was walking down the street downtown as part of the regular routine of her life, and up a ways, on the other side of the street, there was a man, disheveled, leaning against a building, screaming obscenities. And everyone, as you can imagine, was steering clear. Right, they were crossing the street. But she decided to do something different. She decided to cross the street toward him so she could walk right by him. And as she walked by him, she slowed down. She looked at him and she said, "Good morning." And he paused as if to come back into himself. And he smiled and he said, "Good morning." And then he added sort of sheepishly, "I just had to get it all out." And she said, "I know what you mean." And they shared just a moment, and she walked on, right? Not realizing, I'm sure, that she had loved him with a love that can save the world. She make no mistake about it. In that moment, she was revealing God's plan. And all she had to do was cross the street and say good morning. Now, for Mary, 2,000 years ago in Nazareth, all she had to do was go out to the barn. Now, I don't know if she went out in the evening or in the morning, but it was part of her routine, and she went out alone. And then something different happened. She noticed something regular, but in a different way. Maybe it was a beam of light that came through a crack in the wall that she hadn't noticed before. Or maybe the wind sang a new song through the branches of the trees outside as they had grown just a little bit the night before. Or maybe there was a beautiful color or odor that bloomed out of season. Or maybe an angel appeared. And when we hear things like that, it can sound a little crazy to us, but I want to assure you that Mary, within the context of her community, it was a Jewish community, and they were known as Essenes, and part of their belief system was they believed in angels, and they believed in mystery, and they believed in the coming of the Messiah. They believed God was present. Now Mary, and you guys know this story, Mary was engaged to a man named Joseph, and he was a widower, and he had a bunch of kids. And news News of Mary's pregnancy probably caused Joseph to pause. But still, in the regular routine of his life, he laid his head down on his pillow that night and went to sleep. And the next day he awoke and he told people of a dream he had. And in the dream he met an angel, and the angel said, "Hey, Joseph, everything's okay." And so Joseph and Mary settled into the regular routine of preparing for the birth of a child. And then, as the story goes, as Kate read, a decree was put out by Caesar Augustus, and it ordered the entire world to go out and be registered. He wanted to count his people. And it meant that Joseph and everybody else had to return to their ancestral home, and his was Bethlehem, because he came from the lineage of David. Now, as a practical matter, under normal circumstances, Mary, who was 9 months pregnant, would have stayed home. And she would have let, as would have been the natural course of things, the women of the community help her midwife her baby into the world. But the tradition tells us that Mary was a scholar, that Mary knew her Bible. And for that reason, Mary knew the prophecy of Isaiah, which was, "A virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel." And it means that Mary knew the prophecy of Micah, who wrote, "The Messiah will be born in Bethlehem." And so, within the ordinary rhythms of her life, sitting in a barn, being pregnant, knowing the Bible, a new part of God's plan materialized for her, and she knew, though it was outside the norm of what one would do, that she, 9 months pregnant, was going to get on a donkey and ride it for 10 days to Bethlehem. You see, because what happened is all the ordinary details of her life colluded to reveal God's extraordinary love for the world through the birth of Jesus. See, God had a plan, and God has a plan, and we are all part of that plan. And it's revealed through the gifts we have been given, through the contexts of our lives, through our passions and interests and abilities, all threaded together to reveal this plan that is imprinted upon the ponchos that we wear around in our everyday lives. And so this Christmas Eve, I leave you with an invitation to wonder how that plan is being revealed in you. Tonight I invite you to consider Mary, to consider the woman across the street, to consider Juan Diego, to consider your life, and wonder how the plan of God is revealed through the love that you share in the regular routine of your day. For it's love, only love, that is going to save the world. And that's what we celebrate tonight, how love came into the world in a way we could know and emulate by our actions in our day in and day out living. Because that's how it works when you are the plan. Merry Christmas.